Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom. Thank you for joining me today. I am sitting on top of the Bota, or the Kubo, or the Kubota. We haven't decided on a name for this tractor yet, but suffice it to say, it's the only comfy chair that's out here in my garage. So I decided to put you guys on a tripod on the hood, and here we are. So I hope you guys are all doing well, and I just wanted to quickly go over a few things. I don't know if it matters, but we've started cleaning up a lot of the stuff that was down here. I started, putting a whole bunch of stuff up on that new shelf. So our garage is starting to, come around when it comes to being able to pull in here with something other than this tractor. We're still trying to figure out how we're going to do a long-term solution for this. We're thinking about a little storage shed with a roll-up door out here, extending the roof of the house to cover the front part of the driveway right in front of the garage. There's a ton of stuff that's kind of up in the air. But the real reason why I'm kind of sitting on this tractor is because I had really hoped to at least do the back part of the house today with the fact that the sun is shining and the sky's blue. The problem is that so much rain has fallen over the last few, days/weeks, that the ground is so saturated that I can't walk out there without, taking an L and sliding down the hill. So there's no point in getting, this thing, all stuck in muddy if I can't even cut the grass with it. So we'll just have to wait for that time when we can go and do a proper, mow of the yard and walk through of this mower and what it has and everything. So you guys will just have to stay tuned for that. One thing I wanted to touch on is the little bit of hostility that I may have had in the last video's description box. I actually thought about going back and rewriting the description to be more PC, politically correct, but I don't want to do that for a few reasons. One of which is my complete transparency to this channel. Videos that I choose to record, I record for a reason, which is to inform, to entertain, and to, shine a light into what I've been going through specifically with the Bolt EV/EUV recall process, purchase process, whatever you want to call it at this point. And I really laid into GM. The more I think about that settlement letter that they sent me, the more I get upset. I lost a lot of sleep over it over the last few days. As such, my weekend was semi-gray. I didn't feel good. I was kind of and today, Monday, I feel the need to just, come forward and share a brief explanation as to why I feel the way that I feel. One of the first things I shared with my wife when I got that letter was the usage fee, and she got upset. She told me that, it wasn't right, that, we had a whole conversation about potentially fighting it and remedying it and everything. The problem is simple. I agreed to this process a year ago, and as such, I put myself into a commitment state, which was kind of hard to back out of, because GM ultimately gave me three choices at the beginning. They said, well, you can wait for the battery to be replaced in your 2020 Premier. You can sell the car back to us, and we give you a check for whatever. And then 3 was we can do a swap and get you into a new car. And at the time, when I bought the car, I did a lot of research on EVs. I was really, contemplating a Leaf. I was contemplating a few other, smaller EVs, as well as like hybrid electric, like plug-in hybrids and stuff like that, with like the Toyota plug-in hybrids, or what was the other one? The Chevy Volt. which was a plug-in hybrid plus generator and whatnot. And I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to get a full-on EV, because I truly believe in my heart that there's going to come a point in time when the world's going to, come forward and realize that burning fossil fuels and contaminating the world on a larger scale worldwide is just a bad idea. It's bad for our posterity. It's bad for, our kids' kids and our kids' kids' kids, et cetera, et cetera. It's a compounding effect, And the only thing that comes from it is big businesses, big oil and big whatever is making big money. So that's the only good thing that's coming out of it. In fact, it's not even good, because most of those people don't pay their taxes for whatever reason. But I'm not going to get into a political conversation on here. Suffice it to say that I early on decided that I was going to commit to an electric vehicle, and I committed to the Bolt EV because I thought, on a most simple level, I thought the car was cool. I thought it was such a great step up from the diesel Jetta that I owned, and to bring this out of a personal state and more into a business state of things with the cars and such. GM had countless opportunities, and I mean countless opportunities, to make this recall not just something that they could walk away from in a positive light, but also make customers for life. They had an opportunity to make me a customer for life with GM. But I'm telling you right now, on record, this will be the last General Motors vehicle that I ever purchase. There's just no way that knowing what I went through and knowing what GM did to me during this recall, both mentally and physically and everything. I mean, it was a physical drain. I've never been more sick than in the last year, of my life. Being run down, having so much to think about, so much to process, so much to deal with, it wears you down. It wears you down totally, and you get sick and your immune system gets shot, and then you're just stuck, because what do? Then you have to heal. I mean, you guys know, there's a physical manifestation of stress. And that stress can cause problems with hormones. It can cause problems with everything. I mean, I've had every diagnosis from A to Z, and my body was just going to hell. And a lot of it, I would have to guess, was because of the fact that I was losing sleep towards an issue that I had zero control over. And now, over the last few weeks, actually the last few months, I guess, since probably about Thanksgiving or so, maybe even before that, maybe October, this little carrot that's being dangled right here, this 2023 Bolt EUV, it's like right here, and I'm just like trying to grab it, and I can't, because there's some, political backhanded process that's preventing me from, getting what I need taken care of to get the car into this driveway, so that I don't have to spend thousands of dollars of rentals, so that I don't have to, deal with, the side effects that come from being in this process. Yeah, I have another car, but yeah, I also have, a family that relies on cars. We come from a generation that relies on their vehicle. If I don't have my car to do what I need to do, then I have to inconvenience my wife and potentially my son to take her car to do whatever I need to do. And just like my Washington, D.C. trip, I knew I was going to be gone for 24 hours, and I knew that during that time I couldn't take this car because of the fact that my wife needs to be able to go to the school, pick my son up, potentially feed him, go grocery shopping, take care of the household, and heaven forbid, something medically wrong happens, or something medically goes wrong and something bad happens, then what? Then they're walking to the hospital, or they're calling 911, and we have, a $5,000 ambulance bill or whatever. So there's a lot of nasty side effects that come from this that really nobody thinks about, because if you look at a lot of the requirements and offers that GM has made and all these bits and pieces about the recall, they're all about business. They're all about liability. They're all about this and that, and they use words that nobody understands to describe certain parts of this and that and everything else around it. But one thing they don't talk about is the person that's affected directly by it. Okay, so my Bolt EV did not explode. My Bolt EV did not burn my house down. It did not kill my family. It did not do any of the things that originally started this recall. But me, most of my day-to-day work is done in risk assessment on the IT side, but it's still risk. Risk is risk, whether it's IT or physical. It's still a risk. You have to weigh whether or not you want to jump out of an airplane, right? Or if you want to drive 150 miles per hour on the freeway, that's a risk. Or, am I going to get caught by the police? Or am I going to, land face first in a pond because my parachute didn't open, et cetera, et cetera. All that stuff is a consideration. It's a consideration of risk. I did not feel that me owning a $44,000 car with all of that was invested in it, both on the business side and on the personal side of things, I didn't feel like the risk was worth having. Because all I needed to do was plug my car in, and there was a 50% chance that night my car could explode, or something could happen, or things could go wrong, or whatever, take your pick. And I know that, God, GM is not immune, or GM's not the only ones that are part of this. Nobody's immune. Tesla's got issues. Everybody's got some form of recall or other potential fires that stem from something. I mean, look at gasoline-powered cars. There's hundreds of thousands of gasoline-powered cars that burn down on the side of the freeways every year. And I did a video on that about a year ago when this whole process started. But that's neither here nor there. The point that I'm trying to make is that for me personally and for my family, it was not worth the risk to have a vehicle like that in a position where something could go wrong. Our house burns down. We potentially die in the middle of the night because something happens. Lithium ion fires are very hot. They burn property really fast. And they're incredibly difficult to extinguish. You have to control the thermal runaway first before you can extinguish a fire. And that could be impossible. You might just have to wait until all the fuel's burned out before you can put out all the ancillary fires like your house and everything else. So for me to choose to swap the vehicle for a brand new vehicle that doesn't have this issue or that isn't covered in the recall because the redesigned battery packs or whatever, for me that was key, because I didn't want to go back to an ICE vehicle. I didn't want to go back to a diesel. I didn't want to go back to whatever vehicle that I would have gotten beforehand had the Bolt EV not been an option for me. Teslas were always out of my price reach. Still are. I have no shame in saying that. For me, I would have to get a very, very used Tesla, a very, very high mileage Tesla, and then, potentially, there's a reason why somebody gave that Tesla back. Either it had problems or something brewing, or they did something to it and they just fixed it, they patched it up, and then what? Then I get stuck with somebody else's problem, somebody else's trash. I didn't want that. If I'm going to spend, 40 plus grand on a vehicle, it was going to be a brand new car with, my butt being the only one in that seat, if you know what I mean. So, fast forward to that description that I wrote, I really nailed GM to the wall, and at least for me, it was one of those things that I had to just get off my chest, because it's still an issue, and I still feel like I'm being punished for it. You know, like I mentioned earlier, if this was my fault, if this was my doing, then so be it. Charge me a usage fee. But this is your fault, GM. You let this happen, whether you didn't hire the proper QC team or you didn't, care enough to do a quality control on a third-party battery pack that you decided to contract with. Don't punish your customers. By charging a usage fee, you're not only belittling the customer, but in some ways you're abusing them as well. Because you guys sent a letter saying that you want to keep me satisfied. In what way am I supposed to be satisfied when you added an additional $5,000 cost to a vehicle that I had to give back because of risk management? Yeah, let's think about that for a second. Anyway, I got to go get my kid from school, so I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Go down in the comments, leave me your thoughts. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.